Okay, stream audio should be good. All right, everyone, welcome to the GitHub 101 workshop. Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'll be running this, and I'm glad to see you guys all here. Without any further ado, hopefully you guys have GitHub Desktop and Visual Studio Code downloaded. If you don't, go ahead and download those right now. And I'll wait until everyone's on github.com signed in like this. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen. If you guys have any questions or you guys are ready, please let me know in the chat. Is everyone on GitHub? One person? Two people? All right, cool. All right, let's get started. So if you guys need me to go faster or slow down, please let me know in the chat. And when we're ready to move on from anything, I'll just look for a thumbs up in the chat or anything like that. And yeah, first thing we want to do is go ahead and hit the plus on the top right, and we're going to create a new repository. It should be the first option. And a repository is basically something, it's a place where you can store your code in GitHub, and you can essentially think of it as one project. So what we're going to do first is, if you see the repository name, we're going to call this something like GitHub 101. Pick something, anything that's available, whatever you want your website to be. And your website URL will be something like this, where this is the name of your repository, and this will be the website, the link to the website. You can see it's your username.github.io/ and then whatever you call the repository. All right, add a description if you want. And make sure to check the add readme file. All right, and once we're all there, you should have something that looks pretty much like my screen. If you do, you guys can go ahead and click Create Repository and give me a thumbs up in the chat so I know when to move on. Might be easier if you guys put that actually in the chat so it doesn't disappear, because I know Zoom reactions, they usually disappear after like 10 seconds. So yeah, if we're all good then, yeah, okay, great. Cool. And if you guys have any questions about how GitHub works, any of this, again, feel free to let me know in the chat. So I'm going to move on, click Create Repository, and that's the first step that we're going to do. So we have our repository name, and we have a description for it, and we wanted to make sure it's public so that you can actually enable GitHub pages, because otherwise it won't let you do that. All right, next thing we're going to do is, you should see the repository on your screen, and we're going to go to settings. And if you scroll down, or actually if you look on the left side, you should see a tab called Pages. This is where we're going to tell GitHub, put all of my code onto this web page, and the URL, again, will be something like what I have in this table. All right, so let's go to Pages. GitHub Pages is currently disabled. Click on None and change it to the main branch. So the main branch, that's where you're going to be currently putting all of your code that everyone will see. And we want to keep the folder as root for now, and let's click Save. Once you have a screen like mine, feel free to let me know in the chat so I know when to move on. So what we're going to do is, after we start making changes, and we're actually going to push the code to GitHub, And once GitHub receives that code, it will automatically put it onto this website, and that URL that you see like right here, that is a URL you can share with anyone, and it's a website that you can host absolutely free. All right, and looks like all of you guys are ready to move on. So the next thing we're going to do is open GitHub Desktop, right? So you can see this. Yours will probably show a login screen. So what we're going to do is sign in with github.com. Okay, so I'm going to click sign in. And if you need to get there, you can go to File, or you can go to GitHub Desktop and find the preferences, and then you should be able to sign in. Continue with browser, and then open GitHub Desktop. And you should be signed in. Yours will probably say something like clone repository or add repository, something like that. So once you guys see that on your GitHub Desktop, let me know so I can move on. If you guys need help or anything like that, feel free to let me know. So you guys see something like, are you guys seeing anything like create clone repository or open repository, something like that when you log in? Yeah, so that's basically asking you to, it's asking you essentially where do you want to look for the code, right? And so what we're going to do is click on current repository on the top left of GitHub Desktop, and then click add and clone repository. Yours might already have something like this, and I'm going to choose github.com and click on this one that I just created, which is treasure hacks / GitHub 101 v2. Yours will be whatever your username is / and then your username. If you want to save it somewhere, feel free to choose a place to save it. And then once we're here, we'll hit clone. And you should have something like this now. Yours will say current repo, GitHub 101 v2, current branch main, and you have all of this. All right. And one thing I need to do, mine says unknown user, so what I'm going to do is control comma, go to Git, and I'm going to make sure this is my email, and this username is treasure hacks. So once I click OK, it should show my profile on the left. So yeah, once we're all there, we can get started on creating our website. So yeah, if you guys are ready, feel free to give me a thumbs up in the chat. Yeah, which step are you on, Andrew? Still the GitHub Pages screen. Okay, so yeah, what I did is I opened GitHub Desktop. So have you downloaded that? Can't find clone repository. Okay, so for yours, you want to go to File and Clone Repo. Do you see it, Andrew? Yeah, cool. And then you should have something like this, yeah? Like what I have on mine. Yep, all right, awesome. And again, if you've installed Visual Studio Code, it should show automatically here. And what I'm going to click is open in Visual Studio Code. Again, you don't have to use Visual Studio Code, but that's what I'm going to be using to teach this. And trust the authors of all files in this folder. Okay, I trust myself. I'm the author of this code. And you'll see a README on the left. So you should have something like this. It might say get started or something on the left. You don't need an enterprise address. You should be able to go to github.com. Like if I go to here, you should see github.com on the left, and you should find the repository you just created, Jason. So this should, first tab, filter repositories. And you should be able to see GitHub 101, whichever you just created. Jason, do you see it? Do you see your repository? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to Visual Studio Code, and we're going to create our first HTML page, and this will be able to, this we can actually view in our browser and see all the things that we're doing. So I'm going to click this little New File button. It should be next to the folder name. You might have to move your mouse here to show it, but New File, and I'm going to call this index.html. And once I have this in my editor, you should be able to see index.html in the file name. I'm going to do a shortcut that you can do in VS Code. It's !, enter, and that should generate a skeleton that looks like this. And we're going to save that file. Okay, and once we save that file, we can actually open our File Explorer, and we can actually open index.html in our browser. And right now it's blank, but that's because we haven't added anything. So you should be able to open your browser and have Visual Studio Code. This is Visual Studio Code on the left, and this is the file in my web browser. So once we're there, could I get a thumbs up from everyone so we're all on track and we can keep going with our thing? Cool. What do I press to get all of this code? ! Enter. To create the file, Justin, you can go to the top left, GitHub 101 v2. You have the File Explorer, just hit the plus, new file, and then, oh, how do I, okay, and when you do that, you should be able to type index.html, hit enter, that'll create the file. And Andrew, you can actually find it in your File Explorer, so this is the folder GitHub 101 v2 for my repo. If you can't find that, you can actually open GitHub Desktop, and then you can, you should be able to go to, you should be able to reveal, you should be able to open it in your, what is it, in your File Explorer. So actually what you can do here, if you see this, you can actually just right click it and reveal in Windows Explorer or Finder or whatever you're using. If you go to GitHub Desktop and you don't see all these changes, you should see one that says open in File Explorer or something like that. Andrew, does that answer your question? So go to GitHub Desktop, and once you're there, if you don't see it, if you just see like, oh. Okay, you should be able to find it in your File Explorer. It's probably in your Documents folder, in Documents, GitHub, and whatever your repo name is. So it might be like users/username/documents/GitHub. /GitHub 101, something like that. GitHub Desktop, you should have that, right? What is this GitHub showing application? It is called GitHub Desktop. You can find the link in our Discord. If you haven't downloaded it already, that's what we're using for the tutorial. So, yeah. There you go. All right, cool. Everyone else is ready. The next thing we're going to do, so we set up everything. We checked our Git settings, make sure we're in the right user, so that's all good. And okay, what we're going to do here is add some basic content in it. So I'm going to add a heading, which is in h1 tags. You can see the structure of HTML. You have some opening tags with the with these signs, and then I'm just going to say this is my first web page. And then I'm going to say I'm just going to add some filler text, which you can do like that. So this is my filler text. And another thing I'm going to do is add this banner image. So I'm going to add this to the folder. I have this here, and you should be able to see it show up in VS Code on the left as well. So banner, and I'm going to create an image tag with it. So image source equals, and then this one is banner.png. The code is ! enter. So type the ! and then enter. Save this, and if I reload my file, you can see the banner here, and this is my first web page. So yeah, play around with your HTML a little bit if you're still waiting for me. Oh yeah, of course, there's going to be a recording for all of our workshops. Yeah, we're streaming it onto YouTube right now at the same time, actually. Yeah. Yeah, so once you guys have some sort of web page, something, just a basic page like this, feel free to give me a thumbs up so we can get on to actually pushing these changes to the cloud and sharing this website link. How did I shrink this text? You can find the, Albert, you can find the file in your file explorer. So if I go to this folder, I can just double click this. And Akiko, if you mean the text wrapping, is this what you mean? I did Alt-Z. URL accessible. Yeah, that'll do word wrapping. Ava, can the GitHub name be anything? URL accessible, so that's just numbers, letters, dashes, and I think underscores. So it's just something that you can type in a URL. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, if you guys are just waiting around, again, feel free to add some content to your web page if you have questions about how this works. How HTML works. I'm not going to be covering much, but you can attend my friend Ethan's Beginner to Web Design workshop as well. Text isn't popping up for me. You need to put it in the body tag. So if it's up here or out here, it won't show up. You need to put it inside the body tag for it to show up. And you'll probably need to reload your page after you make those changes. So yeah, once you make your changes, make sure everything's in the body tag. And when you open it into your browser, if it's not there, just reload it. And it should be there. Hopefully that helps, Andrew. Yeah, is that h1 tag inside of the body tag? Like if you look at mine, the h1 is below the first body tag. If it's not there, then it probably won't show up. Did you save the file? How do we display it on the web browser? You can find it in your file explorer and then double click it. So that will open it in your web browser. Andrew, is yours working? Control S. You should see the dot on the top disappear. It should turn into like a U or something. So yeah, save the file, yeah, and then reload the browser, or reload the tab, I should say. and it should show the text that you just put in there. Yep, is everyone else ready to move on as well? Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. Yep. Yeah, if you find yourself waiting at any time, again, after you give your thumbs up, just feel free to develop the page a little bit more. Okay, so what we have here is our index.html and our banner. So those are the files here. And you should see these as green pluses. That means these are files we've added to our repository. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create homepage. So create homepage, that's going to be my summary. And the description, if you want to add something, go ahead and add it. If you don't, that's totally fine. And what we're going to do is click commit to main. Basically what this will do is create a record of your changes. And if you want to, after you push these changes, if you feel like your website is broken or something went wrong, you can actually look at each individual changes, because Git will actually keep a record of this. That's what a commit essentially is. It's Git telling the system, it's Git saying, okay, I made these changes at this time. So yeah, that's what happens when you click commit to main. And once you do that, you can just click push to origin. And what will happen is it will push it to GitHub servers, and pretty soon you will see, actually I'm still in my GitHub pages settings. If you're not there, you can head there, and in like a minute or two, this URL will be updated with the code I put right here. So you see this local file? That's going to be on this URL pretty soon. All right. So yeah, once again, summary, commit changes, and push to origin. So let's see if it's updated now. Doesn't look like it's updated. It looks like it's still on the description. Yeah, my page is still building because I can actually see this yellow dot, so it's not fully done. But yep, okay, so now after I reload it, you can see everything is on our web page. Again, I'm not really going to be covering how to make everything like look super good or anything like that. You can go to the beginner web design workshop if you want to learn more about how HTML and CSS works and how to create this website. How do you add it from the pages page? You don't. You add that in your local file. So if you go to VS Code on the left, over here, that's where you want to click the new file button. How do you? Is that what you mean? Like, how do you create the index file, or are you looking for something else? Yes, but I only have the. How do you add the? Oh, you mean how do I get to this? So if you go to your pages settings, you should see something like your site is published at this. And if you click on this link, you should be able to see it in a new tab. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, kind of. Sorry, I think I'm a few steps behind. I'm on one of the other. I think I'm on the main GitHub page. I think one of your other tabs that are open.
You're on this one?
No, the other one.
This one.
Yeah, that one. But I don't know how to get the.
Does yours have an index?
No.
Okay, so what you need to do is go to the editor over here, click the new file button, and create index.html. And then when you hit enter, you should have a blank document. Is that right?
Yes, but I don't know how to open the editor.
Once you create the file, you should see index.html show up on the top.
Okay, thank you.
And from there, exclamation mark, enter, and add some content between the two body tags. And once you're there, you can open GitHub Desktop, and you should see the changes and what I just said: summary, commit, and push. Do we need more time, or do you guys have this? If you guys have this, actually, why don't you guys go ahead and put that in the chat so I can see what you guys have. So go to your GitHub website, copy the link, and put it in the chat like that. Is anybody stuck on something, or do we have our websites? Can you share the link in the chat so we can see, so I can see like where you're at? If you're stuck, please go ahead and ask in the chat. Otherwise, you know, if you're there, go ahead and copy that link and paste it there. That way I know we're ready to move on to the next step. Your website is showing the description. When you go to GitHub Desktop, do you see changes here, or does it look like mine? No, don't get your local file. You want to push the changes to GitHub first. Albert, it'll take a few minutes for the site to update. Assuming you saved your files and pushed changes, right, Albert? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it takes usually 2 or 3 minutes sometimes. Andrew, have you, what does your GitHub Desktop look like? Okay, Andrew, you got it. Let's see. This is my first website. That's yours, Andrew. Good job. You have, oh, looks like you put one after the body tag, but oh wait, that's fine. Jenna, you just got here. Yeah, feel free to keep working on it while I answer everyone else's questions. Jenna, okay, so one thing that, okay, I'm going to point you real quick to our guide at treasurehacks.org/guide/GitHub101. It's also in the Discord. Basically, what I did was I created my repository, which is all of this, and I set up everything locally. So I downloaded GitHub Desktop. I signed in with my browser. I clicked clone, and I made my first changes, everything that's in the guide here. And then you can open the file and so on. If you have any questions following the guide, up to here, if you have any questions with the guide up to there, just feel free to ask me and I'll help answer that. Yeah, the link is also in, it's in our Discord if you need that. Is everyone else there? I see Andrew has his link. Again, I don't need a local link. I want your .github.io link. I have one person's link. I'm waiting for a few more. Is anyone else stuck anywhere, or grab your link? how do you get the github.io link? Okay, so if you still have this open, you should have github.com/your username slash the repo name, so GitHub 101, whatever. And once you go there, you can actually also do this, your username, so treasurerhacks.github.io/your repo link, so GitHub 101, like that, right? And once you have that, it should show your website. I'll make a couple changes to mine in the meantime. Try reloading the page in like a minute. I'm gonna check. So this is my local one. Reload that. So I'm gonna resize my image here. So if you guys also want to make like more changes, you can change the file and save it. And what we're going to do after that, you'll see the changes here. I think you get the idea. We're going to say something like add width to image. And then we're going to click commit to create the record and push to origin. So that's pretty much how you make any changes that you want. Now let's see yours, Justin. Yeah, there you go. You got it. And it's showing the right thing for me as well. So good job. Coral, are you there? Do you have yours? Cool. Yeah, if anyone's lost, feel free to keep asking questions. Yeah, I'll be happy to answer those. We're a little bit tight on time just because we have a workshop right after this. So if I don't answer any of your questions, or you still have other questions about GitHub or anything like that, we'll be holding a Q&A tomorrow. Or you can just ask that in the GitHub help channel after this workshop. But yeah, also I pushed my changes. They're not quite there yet, but okay, yours. Yep, I see the image of the Eiffel Tower. This is my first web page. Good job. Looks like we're all on track. All right. So we have most of this stuff, but there's one little problem, and that's once we start creating folders and images, we can't have everything in the same folder once our website gets bigger, right? So to demonstrate this, I'm going to create a folder called, I'm going to put one called information. And inside this, I'm also going to do an index.html file. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. So you can see we have a page in the folder, right? Index.html inside the information folder. And what I'm going to do here is, here is some information, or here is some information about me. And I'm going to create a list here. And I am hosting GitHub 101. This is a website. And I'm also going to add a link back to the previous page. And I'm going to do that with anchor. href equals. And I'm going to point it. Actually, what I want to do here is, if you see my treasurerhacks.github.io, I want it to be the root and then /github101/v2. So I want that in here, and that's how you want your links to work. You usually want it to point to something like /your repo name and /, because that'll be the homepage of your repository. Unfortunately, it won't work exactly like that with the file, and I'm going to show you why in a second. But I'm just going to add one homepage. So if I actually go to my file explorer, go to the information folder, and open it here, you can see this that I created. I have my heading, I have my list, and there's a link that says homepage. It doesn't work yet because the root is actually file, and I don't want it to be that. I want it to be something like this, right? And in the meantime, I'll add an image to this, and I can do a parent folder with 2 dots and a slash, but again, I want to do something like this where it's pointing to the root, and then /banner.png. And the way we're going to solve this issue is we're going to do something called a local server. And to do that, I'm going to click on the Extensions tab on the left of VS Code and just search for live server. And click the first result. So once you're here, could I get a thumbs up from everyone so that we are ready to move on? So again, in extensions, live server. All right, cool. Yep, so what we're going to do, yours should say install. Just go ahead and click that. So once it's installed, it should be pretty quick. We're going to head back to the index.html file, and you should see a button on the bottom right here that says go live or click to run live server, right down here. And actually, if you click that, what's going to happen is it's going to open it in your browser after it starts. So server started at port 5500, and you see it opened this in my browser, right? So the reason I want this is because I get something that looks like this, right? You get your URL, and actually this isn't exactly the same because you can see my homepage on GitHub is slash everything after the github.io, right? Is slash github101 v2. But here it's just the slash, and that's not exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is click on this little settings button on the left. Go to extension settings and unselect the text, deselect the text, and type in root. And you should see something that says live server settings root, and let's click edit in settings.json. And you can see this should be in my guide as well. Actually, it's not. But one thing I'm going to do is go to here and what is this one called? To do that, so live server.settings.root, and I'm going to set it to // and put a comma after it if it gives me an error. So you should see something like this. This is the only line you need to change, and I'm going to paste that in the chat right now. So once you have your settings.json looking something like this, go ahead and let me know. And actually what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to stop the server and then go live again. And I should be able to click into this folder. So now what's happening is everything is the same after the slash here, right? So if I go to my GitHub website, everything after the .io is the same as everything after localhost 5000 or 127.0.0.1. Colon 5500. TO, yes, this will be recorded, yeah, and we'll post a YouTube replay link for all of this. Again, so once we're here, everything after the .io is the same as everything after my port number, which is 5500. Right, so once you guys are here and your settings.json looks something like this line is important. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you guys are stuck, please feel free to ask. If you guys are stuck, I can definitely answer it, but if you guys don't say anything, then I will never know. Okay, 2 people. Again, if you need this line, it's pasted in the chat, so you can just copy it and paste it into your settings.json. If you need to find it, it's going to be in extension settings, and you can just search for root. Is anyone else stuck, or are we all good to move on? Okay. Is everyone else here? How do I find the local path of my repo? Are you looking for the file in your browser? Like, are you looking how to open it? Open the file? My server link isn't the same as the other page. Yeah, it's not exactly the same. It should be the same after the root. So the root here is treasurehacks.github.io, and the root here is 127.0.0.1/ and then everything after that should be the same. Does GitHub, Jengar, you have to go to, okay, again, if you read the guide, it's actually one of the first things we do after creating the repository. You have to go to GitHub Pages settings. So you'll go to your repo settings and then pages, and then you have to just change the branch to main. And then after that, any changes you push to the server will show immediately or after a few minutes. Hopefully that answers your question. If it shows /index.html at the end, that's fine, because it's still the same thing. Because one thing actually about any website actually is if you have a trailing slash at the end, it's the same thing as having /index.html after it. You can see it's the same file. And same goes for my local server. Index.html, no index.html. Oh, did you start the live server from your information page? That could be the other thing. If you go to your first one, your original page, and then you click Start Live Server, it should do that. But you can also go to, you can also just go to this URL in your own web browser, and it should show your local one. So yeah, now actually if I go to my information page, /information/, it'll load the index, and you can actually see that the source is being loaded from, if I actually open this image in a new tab, you'll see that it's actually being loaded from /github101v2/banner.png, right? And that's what this is. And you can see if I click home page, it will also take me back to my home page. Right? So once you have your local server going, everything with a /repo name will bring you back to the root folder, which is where your first index.html lives and any other files you put there. When you clone your repo, it should have a URL, but or a file path. If you lost it, you can actually you can go here and you should see something that says reveal in Windows Explorer or Finder, whatever you use. That's where you can find the files. Okay, and here I have some more changes. I can add my information page, but the other thing is I have this unwanted file. If you have unwanted files, or you just have, if you just want to have placeholder files, like I'm going to actually create a placeholder.txt plain text file. Here are some of my development notes that I don't want on GitHub, right? So if I have this and I don't want it, what I can do is in the root, so if you click on a file in the root and you click plus, we can add a Git Ignore file, so .git ignore, and it should show this special icon. I can ignore these specific files. So if I want, in this case, I don't want this, so I'll put anything and then .ds store. And then if I click back here, you can see that's gone. If I also don't want my placeholder, I can say placeholder.txt. Save that, and that will also be gone, right? So now you can see the only thing left is the git ignore. And another thing about Git and making changes is you generally want your changes to be as small as possible. So in this case, I'm actually going to split this commit, so it'll create 2 records for my changes. So I can actually uncheck everything. And for this one, I only want to do the git ignore file. So this is create git.git ignore. I'll leave that default description, and I'll click commit. And after that, I want to add my information page. So you can see, actually I have my information page here, right? I can go to here and you can click the check mark, so that'll select the change and create information page. So that'll actually be 2 different records stored on GitHub when you view it. And once you're done with that, Control P or Command P, and that'll push your changes. And actually, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add a link to my information page on the home page. So href equals slash git, or actually I can just do information slash and then more info. So what this will do on my index page, since I don't have a slash before it, it'll be just information. So anything in the same folder, that's this, and then information slash, and that's the index. So if I go here and I click more info, you can see it takes me to my information page. So yeah, I'm just making a few more changes here, and when I like those changes, I'm going to add info link, and then do the same thing, push to origin. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So any changes you want to make, you make your changes here, save them, start the live server down here, and you'll be able to view your web page in your browser. And when you're done, you'll see your changes here. Summary, commit, and push. That's all it is. GitHub Pages, GitHub 101. Now you know how to host your own web page on GitHub, and you can actually share this link with anyone else, right? That's it. If you have any questions, I have a few minutes to answer them. Otherwise, feel free to ask them in GitHub Help or the GitHub Q&A tomorrow. Replays of this will be posted on YouTube, and yeah, I'm going to end the YouTube stream here. But if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to unmute or put them in chat. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. So thank you for attending this workshop. I hope you found it helpful, and it's honestly one of the things I wish I always knew when I started coding. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.